Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with Nyla Daud. She invited me to her retreat, her chalet, which she opened for writers, and I was a writer in residence in April 2026. It was a fantastic experience. We will be discussing not only the experience, but the story behind the chalet soon. But before we do that, before I share my experience of being there, I'd like to first introduce to you Nyla Daud. After 3 decades of working as Lahore-based editor with the She magazine, freelance contributions to national and international print media, including book reviews, translating prose and poetry, serving as adjunct faculty in alums content writing program for 2 years, Naira Daud now works at her own pace. Her books, including Dear House, a compilation of humorous articles about her family's growing years, and Fire Ether, Fragrance, a translation of a spiritually oriented Urdu novel, are in publication. Grandmother to 8 and a full-time homemaker, she now lives between Binahi, her home in Lahore, and Shireen Kunj, her home in Aptabad, which she opens for us, where she periodically hosts live-in retreats for women on subjects as diverse as creative writing, art, wellness, craft, silver therapy, script writing. With support from her husband, Daud Zia, she has now ventured into running it as an entrepreneurship by letting this cottage out for B&B. And then apart from that, of course, that we are there, we enjoy it as a home away from home. So before we delve into that, now I'll ask Ms. Nyla Daud that when she invited me, the call came and it was a surprise for me. And I was a little taken aback that out of nowhere, how does Nyla come up with this idea of calling me? But then I'll ask her story, why she chose me, and then why she chose this chalet, this hub to become a space for women. So over to you, Nyla.
Assalamu alaikum, Syrrina, and hello, hi everybody who's on this meeting. Syrrina, how did we meet? We met quite accidentally and not in person actually. I was at this. I think it was about 4 years ago when your first book, Sand in the Castle, was came into the market. I was just into one of these Lahore bookshops, and I saw this book. Actually, I'm very interested in any Pakistani writer writing in English, and if it's a woman writer, it calls me. So, reason why I picked up the book is there were two reasons, and they're both very impulsive reasons. One, when I saw the name Serena Haque, it it intrigued me. I say, and the way it was spelt, and then secondly, I said this is something interesting. And then I said, I opened the covers and I saw it was a collection of short stories. So I said, let me invest in this book. Now I'm very careful about the books that I invest in, frankly. I said, because it's just short stories. And if I don't like it, I don't need to go from cover to cover. I can always let it go. So that was it. And then when I came home, there I just left the book on the table. And when I came home that weekend, I went on to read Sand in the Castle cover to cover in almost one sitting. Because suddenly I realized that this young woman was saying something which was very close to the Pakistani terrain. It was about home, it was about displacement, things which are very close to me because I'm the child of I'm a first generation post partition Pakistani, the child of migrant parents who has never known a home. So displacement and the concept of home and the associated feelings that come with it are they do attract me. And when I opened the book, I read it and I suddenly saw that there was something electrifying in those stories. They were enlightening, they were electrifying, and they were intellectually awakening. I found the answers to so many questions which had unconsciously been growing inside me. And you see, uh, Serena, you are a born and bred Pakistani. You would not know my feelings. I don't know how many of your readers are in my age group. But that did your stories, the terrain of your stories did attract me, and I found it good. Then I mean, I put the book aside. We would meet occasionally here and there, social gatherings, or through friends or something like that. But in the following years, I think it took about 3, 4 years. Serena was you were busy writing your books. You were academic ambitions. You did your doctoral. You got your doctoral degree in those years, I think, after Sand in the Castle.
Yeah, Sand and Castle came
I
out in
think yes.
2010, actually, but there have been three reprints in Pakistan. So maybe you're speaking of the second one. So yes, during that time, I
Hello.
completed.
Ach-
Yes, can you
Acha.
hear me? Yes, I completed my doctorate as well as
But
postdoc.
you were doing a lot of things in those middle years. You were doing a lot of things like doing academic ambitions you were pursuing, and then you were writing. You were. I mean, doing so much. As a young person, I really admire the way you moved on. And at the same time, I was also doing a lot of things. I was at that stage in my life that I was trying to call myself a journalist and a homemaker and a mother-in-law and a grandmother. Then one fine day, Syrrina, I don't know how it came about. I just rediscovered you, and by that time, you had already published 4 books. And you told me, I think it's the same. You told me this year that your fourth book, a novel,
Fifth.
fictional novel about partition, is going to be in the market soon. And then I was also I came to know I had to take it this information that you were printed by Bloomsbury and Cambridge and Rutledge, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And also I learned from other sources that your latest novel is going to be launched in UK, USA, Australia, Pakistan, India, and you were now teaching in so many universities. You were doing these online courses and in-person courses in helping people with creative writing. So when you see, when the idea of the retreat came, you were the first person I thought of. I
Thank
said because unconsciously, unknown to you, I had been following your journey.
you.
So that's how we met actually.
Yeah.
And then that day I called you up and I tried to explain in a very broken way what I was doing and what I wanted you to do. And I think you said yes without a second thought. Why?
That's a good question. Yes. The way when you called me, I could hear this passion in your voice and this newness of the whole idea of it. There have been residencies in other places here in Pakistan, but the whole idea of a retreat in Aptabad, one, I hadn't been to Aptabad that much. I was very young when I'd gone there. And the whole concept of uh, being in the presence of energetic women. I'm assuming there would be energetic at that time because it would take energetic and adventurous women to actually come there to that retreat. And
Serena,
then,
I did tell you that I was a senior citizen. Didn't that put you off?
not at all, not at all. So age
I
is something
told
very,
you.
no, no, no. Actually, that the interesting thing was that from the moment that you mentioned this to me, and then you mentioned the name Shireen Kunj, which I think was the way forward because one, you had a very matriarchal way about how you invited me. So I felt that I was going probably from one home to another home, and I'm one of those who's always trying to find. But because, in my opinion, home is not a physical being; it's something that is spiritually felt, and you can feel at home even in the wildest of places. So you should be looking for these little homes other than your home as well. So we are as writers also, and I think even the cohort that joined us, we were starving. I think we were starving for something that would give us anchorage to move forward, revitalize us and then move forward. And I think this cottage actually did it. Shireen Kunj in particular, and I found out later that one of your names, alter ego or whatever, is Shireen. And for audiences who don't know what the meaning of Shireen, it's sweetness. And the moment I landed at the chalet, I felt the Kunj nestled me and nurtured me, and Shireen nourished me, and we all came out rejuvenated and very different beings that came out of it. I feel that it was a sanctuary for free birds, and the moment you called me, I think you relayed that kind of impression on me, and I was up for the adventure also, and that's why I decided to come. And then I was not aware who was going to be part of my cuties or who's going to be part of the cohort, which is also intriguing because I thought, okay, I'll get to meet new people, and I love meeting new people. When I met them, and these women, I was there to whatever teach them or take them on a journey of creativity. But these women inspired me further because they were from all age groups, and the ones who were 60 and 60 plus coming here after retirement or finding a new avenue was something very interesting because when you're in the rut of your job, your workplace, and everything, sometimes creativity is marred. And I feel that they're coming here, what it did was that they reignited their creativity, and this is what they were looking for as well. Some wanted to write plays for TV, some wanted to write short stories, some wanted to write stage theater, and we did all of these exercises at your place in this hub that you created. I'm going to ask you regarding that hub, how did it come about? Your love for Aptabad seeped into each and every element of your chalet. I can see parts of Aptabad, but also of history. I've seen newspaper clippings framed in your chalet. I've seen little tokens and things from Aptabad. What was the story behind your love for Aptabad and creating a home not just for self and but a home for others as well? So please share your story, Miss Nyla. I think we've lost. We can't see you. So, yes, so walk us through your love for Aptabad and your idea of creating a home here, uh, the story behind it.
Well, the story behind bringing a retreat to Aptabad goes back to my childhood when I had no idea of any such activity. You see, it was about over 70 years ago. My parents drove into Aptabad on a routine military posting, and they fell in love with this house. It's a house which is, we call it the mother house now. It's about 200 years old, probably the first house built by the British when Aptabad was being made, so to say. And it's a house with old gables and an attic and a tin roof and all those things which you don't see nowadays. Well, that was in the 1950s. My parents spent 2 years over here. I was a little child, and then we went away from Aptabad, various stations, military postings, and all. Now, in the meantime, when I got married, I grew up. I got married. We would come back occasionally to the mother house, but it was in a shambles, till about 15 years ago, my mother decided to conserve it. We would still come back, and I would stand under this huge chinar tree at one end of the compound. It's a huge compound. The mother house has a huge compound. And I would just think how lovely it would be that one day if I could have a room of my own here, and I would write a book. What book? I had no idea. I just wanted to write. The Chinar was speaking to me. The Chinar was asking for stories. Again, time went on. And then one day we decided we'd build a little cottage on this plot of land, which is an extension of the mother house. We started, and all right. It was the house came into form, and it turned out to be such a pretty little thing because we didn't remove any trees or anything. And I could, it from every room, I could see trees and I could see stories. So we thought it would just be a summer resort. But then one day, I just decided the house is empty all the year round. Why not ask some people, friends, to come and stay here, enjoy themselves? So that was how the idea of B&B was born. Once the first B&B guest came, he became a friend, and she said, Sarah Mahmood said, Naila, why don't you have, I'm very good at knitting and crochet. Why don't you get a group of ladies, ask them to pay for themselves, and I'll mentor them. Let's have a retreat. And at that moment, I was not sure why would anybody come to do knitting in this place in Ahmedabad. You won't believe it, Dr. Syrrina. That first retreat, 4 women flew over from Karachi for that retreat. There were 8 of us. Spent 3 glorious days sitting in the sun and knitting and talking and sharing stories, etc., etc. When that retreat ended, they all went back very happily. And then I thought, okay, Nyla Daud, initially this was supposed to be the chinar tree wanted you to tell stories. I still had no stories, definite stories in mind. So I thought I'll ask a group of women to come and tell their stories, to write their stories. Who would come? I thought to myself. Then I thought, let me give an offer to some women. But then the first thing I had to do was to find somebody who'd lead the retreat. I mean, I have no published book to my credit. I couldn't ask people to come over just because telling them to write. That's when I thought about Dr. Syrrina, I thought about. I said, let me call her up and say, would she like take to the idea? And Syrrina said, yes. I don't know how good I was at explaining whether Syrrina did it just because she thought a senior citizen is following her dream, a crazy senior citizen is following a dream. Let me go with her, let me pamper her. But I think it was great of you to just. So we went on to it. We discussed it. The terms, by terms, are very paltry, but you still agreed. And that's why it did, you see, come to my mind that who would come to Aptabad to write stories? But I thought, and you encouraged me, Serena, actually. You said that there would be people who would like to get away from their comfort zones, get together and talk stories. That's how it all began. And that first retreat, the creative writing retreat, was a memorable experience. I have never looked back. I, you see, it was such. I mean, it was such a, at my age. I'm a senior citizen, and at my age, I was doing something nobody. You see, I come from a very conservative family. Uh, Educated till BA, got married, and had children, homemaking, all that. But I had stories inside me. I did want to write. I did want to talk to people who were writing stories. So at this stage in our life, my children, 3 children, are all married, and I was free. We had this little setup in Ahmedabad. So I thought I'm going to use it. That is how the idea came. And of course, it started with creative writing, and
And
as
then
fate
there's
would have it,
no stopping, because I believe
there's no
after that retreat you've had many you've invited writers from all over, I think Urdu writers as well as English writers. You've had silver therapy, many retreats after that as well.
Yes,
They
I've
kind of
had
hit
some
off. Yeah.
fantastic mentors, and there was no looking back after that because the first thing, after the first retreat, the distinct feeling that I got was that I have become empowered, that I somehow, growing up in a conservative household, I mean, educated, all that, but there were limitations to what I could do all my life. My priority were the children, my husband, my home. But at this point, I had done all my duties actually, and done them. I had enjoyed. homemaking and bringing up the children and entertaining and this and that. So I was going to do something different. Nobody in the family had done it. We are not a business family. And women at this age, in my family, like my brother said a couple of years ago, that I have noticed that you are very different from my grandmother, because I remember that women in a family, when they turned 50 or 60, they would sit down on a takhat and with a pandan, and that's all they did, and gossip. And I said, Mansoor, I have always been very, I wanted to do something different. You know, I didn't realize that being different for me meant that I was yearning for empowerment. And the retreat, being successful, getting together 7, 8 women together, getting together a mentor and hosting them, planning the menus, planning their entertainment and their outings, and that they had their good enough boarding. That was a lot of work, but that was empowering for me.
And
And from that, gee,
in turn, I feel you've empowered the ladies who have come here, the women who have come here, because I think a lot of women are not sure of what to do after a certain age. And I've at the retreat, of course, we had all age groups, and I think your retreats later on also. But still, each time you find something new. So when you speak about your chalet, I remember when you called me. So I did a little bit of research. I went on Insta and I tried to look at the retreat. So I always try to, I have this orientation issue that I like to look at things before I, jump into it. I don't really plunge into things without having a little aerial view of it. So the chalet looked beautiful on the Insta page. Everything looked nice. But when my car, I still remember when my car took that plunge into the chalet towards the chinar tree, I said, this is not what Insta was offering. This is much more than what Insta was offering. And I sincerely felt, and I said it to people when I got out of the car, I said, the pictures do no justice to this place. The the place is not only warm and welcoming. It actually has the Kunj effect to it. One under the chinar tree, I could feel the nest feeling, and it is aesthetically very well crafted, very well designed, and each and every piece has been put there with a thought, and we could take back each and every memory that you had experienced, but we could take back with us. And as soon as we entered, we realized that we are home. And that's what I feel is the most important thing for, especially for women who are constantly in a state of flux. Which home? Our parents' home, this home. A lot of us traveled. And yes, we had a group which traveled a lot too. For them also, this was different. This is a novelty. So I felt that we were at home. And then, of course, sitting there, despite the fact that we'd had a long, uh, tiered, tiresome journey, we sat there. It started raining, and I remember that I gave them the first exercise, which involves senses. So they listen to the raindrops, they listen to the thunderous clouds, they listen to all the surrounding and the quietness of it, and then at night the cry of the jackals, and then they translate it into their work. And I feel that I could not have done this exercise in a auditorium or online workshops. Even you can't do these exercises like this. You need that kind of environment to be one with the nature, this symbiotic relationship that you have created, nature and humans, which is actually the way it should have been. We could listen to sounds which were we had become. So there's this exercise that I do about defamiliarizing yourself. So things that we are numb to on a daily basis in cities, we could now hear sounds, we could now smell smells. I remember on a walk, because I loved the fact that not only were we inside the chalet, we were also taking these tours outside the chalet. So we went for long walks, we went for hikes, and they were simple hikes. Anyone can do it actually. But during that walk, I remember I could smell the incense sticks, and I didn't know what it was. And I immediately said to the group, I said, I don't know, this nostalgic morbid, smell is coming from somewhere. It reminds me of some kind of funeral. The other said, no, 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 it reminds me of my mother's parties and milads and everything. So what is it? What is it? So it kind of lured us, and we walked straight towards that smell. And this was a shrine in the vicinity of the Kunj. And so we took back that smell with us as well, and then we wrote about it. I had an app which could tell what plants and trees, which ones were what. So we all shared that app, and we were all trying to figure out, there were so many plants, different trees in Aptabad, scenic as it is, I never thought it would be as refreshing. Of course, the weather was incredible. The air was refreshing coming from Lahore. We needed that kind of air. So all of that was there offered to us, and we took that all in. And I felt when we sat down to write, because I gave them exercises to write about maybe a play or write a short story or small anecdote, retaining all the senses that they had experienced. I felt there were women who were crying. There were women who were laughing. There were women who were all sorts of stories. There were comic stories. There were tragedy stories. All sorts of stories. But what I felt was that there was this pent up emotion, and they were venting. Each one of them was venting through their writing, whether it was through comedy, but they were
Syrrina,
venting.
let me interrupt you. Now, you have been doing a lot of workshops and trainings like this, creative writing in universities, online, in person. How was this? Did you experience this sort of response from your duties online?
It's quite interesting because, normally when I teach in an auditorium, I always say, okay, you don't really need to be at a mountaintop to think about it, but you can do it inside a box as well. And a lot of people, it's a thought that people say, oh, go to the cubicle and come out with something creative, but that doesn't really happen. Sometimes you need to be in a close proximity to nature, to where it all began for us, very organic, to come out of the boxed feeling of a concrete shell. Even in online classes, after all, you're sitting inside a room, in auditoriums, in school, in classrooms. That element is very much there. So we yearn. I give them an exercise where they have to go outside and sit in the and write about the sights and sounds of their university or whatever it is. We yearn for it. Sometimes it's May, it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold. But being here, we were just naturally outdoors. Most of the times we were outdoors. We had a bonfire as well. And the crackling of the fire, everything was translated into stories. We heard different bird sounds that you can't do in a online classroom, or for that matter in a auditorium. You can I give them tools so they can go back to these places and think about it, but here I have the tools as well as the environment and the ambience ready for them. If I'm talking to them about a smell, they can actually smell different smells. If I'm talking to them about, they can feel the freshness of the air as well. And that crispness, I think, was very important. For us to be unboxed, all of us, to and to be with strangers. Most importantly, there were no inhibitions, no judgments, nothing. They could freely write and speak, and we were singing also. We People could write their lyrics as well. The drama that we wrote, everything had a very like I said, we were in a sanctuary where we were free birds.
But Syrrina, I remember you asking me why so few women. Nyla, you have
Mm.
space over there.
So
Were
why?
you you are used to large audiences
Mm.
when you're doing,
Yeah.
and there were just I think seven of us or eight of
Yes,
us,
7 or 8 of us.
seven or
Yes.
eight of us, and all from different backgrounds. Married, some were grandmothers, some were teacher trainers. You know the whole. So how was it? What was the experience like sharing your skill with such a small group? With a
I think
small,
yes, it opened a new vista for me. I'm now thinking of doing that more often because it was a more of a very personalized, intimate relationship between, if you want to call me a tutor for that matter, or a guide in this sense. Like I said, I'm merely a guide here for these, giving them tools how to use faculties which are already inherent within us. We're all storytellers. We're all storytellers. There's no doubt
all
about it,
and
right?
women and
Uh,
women.
yes, yes. Because what?
And that is, Serena, that is one reason I call this a women's only retreat program, because I think nobody can tell stories better than women. They are
Of
born
course.
storytellers. Uh, I mean, the moment a woman comes into the girl child is born, she comes with a story. He doesn't come alone. Her
Yes,
mother's story.
absolutely, absolutely. So, within the womb also there is an interaction, and once. So I feel woman in general is this womb carries the globe within it, and we carry so many stories within that womb as well. A lot of us. Some of us who were there, some were not even they married, but they could connect with this matriarchal. I feel that not only you, but the space had a matriarchal feeling about it. And that meant that, it was an intimate, like a family sort of that we created over there. Like actually being in a nest, these eggs which are cracking now. We were all cracking. And me, I wouldn't have thought. I thought, okay, I've been teaching for so long. But I also cracked. I also found a new self. And I took back so much from the women who were there. Their stories. They also not only was I guiding them, but their stories were inspiring me as well. So with this small audience, and also being with them in the day in and day out, like in the morning, at night, being with them, experiencing the rain, the sunshine, waiting for the sun to come out. We're never that vigilant in Lahore or anywhere else. We were always waiting for the sun to come out to be able to go out and walk. And we would do that. We had our umbrellas. We were ready for everything. And then we used to go on these little tours, meeting seeing different shades of Aptabad. I remember I saw how the sun was setting behind it was behind the mountains, and it just spread this orange hue all over the scenery. We miss out on all of this in city life. So each one of us discussing this was very important, that how we are opening up to each other.
So, do you think that, like, I think I gave you all a tour of the mother house also, which is, I think,
Yes,
200 years
yes,
old,
yes, yes.
and the walk down to the church because you wanted to see that church from inside, which is the first church or building built in Ahmedabad, and walk down that winding road, walking under trees. That morning session we had sitting under the chinar. Do you think this gave your cohort greater stories, a greater variety of stories, compared to what they would have had if they were sitting in a hall?
Yes, yes, of course, because see, we were engaging with the tiniest of things. This is what I say when I say there is a story in a leaf also. The story from starting from the April till fall, how the leaf changes its colors, how what it goes through, and this is the exact setting where we could actually look at these leaves. We could actually we did discuss what the church, the story of the church, the history of the church, and then the house in particular, because I opted to stay in that house, the old mother house. The group was staying here because there was some calling from the house, I feel. There was this feeling of me. And I remember I was sitting there, it was dark at that time, it was quite late. And I was thinking about, because you told us that your parents lived here, and this was an old British building, house. And I was thinking about the stories that might have gone through, what it has inherited with it, the walls, the chimneys, the flooring, everything was telling me different tales of the occupants here. So I think these things you miss out on in classrooms, definitely. You miss out in settings which are we are used to on a daily basis. We need to sometimes disconnect with our daily lives, with our mundane daily routines. We need to disconnect with the city life sometimes and be able to just
And
float
also
with it.
disconnect from our comfort zones. Like, I mean, we may all be very happily married and happily uh, working in our offices or wherever, but we do need to disconnect so that there are no holds barred, and you can tell your story.
Absolutely.
Did the Shireen Kunj experience um, highlight that point?
So
That they had greater freedom to tell stories because there was no, uh, it was not time barred.
not time barred. It was not, no one was judging you. They were all there. So in order to connect to something, first you disconnect to something. And we found connections amongst ourselves also. We found connections to
For
the
you, Serena, do you think, do you think that your duties managed to disconnect themselves from where they had come,
for
from
that
their
time, it was a
families,
bubble. We were
from
in a
their
bubble.
duties?
Absolutely. We were like in a
Yeah.
bubble, and we felt the adventure had take of the being in this environment and just women was incredible because we've had kind of, like when you block something out, we blocked our other lives. We brought our experiences with
So
it,
you think
but
Shireen Kunj is a place where, which I mean, the ambience, the fact that it is surrounded by trees, and you feel like you are living in a jungle, that does help in generating stories.
definitely. And apart from that, because I'm one of those who are leaving the comfort zone, but I still like to be comfortable. And I must say, Nyla, you made the house so comfortable. Everything about the house is comfortable. It's heating is available when you need it to be heated, and then the beds and everything. Clean, comfortable, and to find that in a mountainous range is very difficult too. Apart from that comfort, the feeling of having you around was very assuring for us also. That it's like, we felt that, like I said, a matriarchal figure is just there. I personally felt it was like a safe haven for me. So I think that this was something that all the women felt, and they could very comfortably be at ease. That is what I would like to say, that we were at ease in every way possible. We could talk about our stories, we could sing with our hearts out, we could laugh as loud as we wanted to laugh, and cry when we wanted
I
to
think
cry.
you also got a story from them, from your Tai Chi session.
Oh
Re-
yes, yes.
Remember
So
that late night Tai Chi
we
session,
had a late night tai chi session.
which was certainly not on the cards, but spontaneously you ideas which would ultimately generate stories.
Because the tai chi session that I went for was relaxing, so they all relaxed and then they all went to sleep. In the morning, then I asked them, then they retold the stories of the dreams that they had. A lot of them had a lot of dreams, by the way, and how the for I think after years they slept like babies, which I also felt, by the way, which is also a novelty in this day and age, to sleep like a baby. But we did that. So I feel that these kind of retreats, these activities, this venture for me, it was, I feel, social, emotional, intellectual, and healing. The healing aspect of it was incredible. I'm sure my group would also agree to that, because when you experience an adventure and you write about it, writing in itself is something that helps you vent out. It heals you, and you provided that space for us. And but I'd like to also know that how did you manage to make this into emotional, social, intellectual hub? How did you manage it? It must have been a
You see,
tedious task.
Serena, Dr. Serena, point is that being a woman, I've had a very good, comfortable life, right? But even then, I have met women who are not so much at peace with themselves. It's a very, you do get vibes when you meet other people. So I thought by limiting the number, I remember you asked me why just seven. So I had given you two reasons, that I have accommodation for eight people. And secondly, if we have more than eight, even 10 means it's going to become a class.
Hmm.
And Shireen Kunj is no classroom. Shireen Kunj was not designed as a classroom. The retreat was not planned as a teaching experience. The retreat, even if I had asked you as a professional, as a mentor, Tom, and I had planned it as a healing exercise, healing through writing creatively.
Yes, this
So
is it.
I didn't want a larger number, because larger numbers, not that they scare me, larger numbers I feel are impersonal. This was a tiny cohort. We were sitting either we were sitting in the lounge, gathered around that gas heater, or under the tin roof veranda with the rain pelting down, or or walking amongst the trees. We were small groups. We were one group. We were one family. So I had limited I mean, I could have got 10 more people and put them up in the neighboring houses and messes. But no, I said, Syrrina also will be, I think. Were you comfortable with a small
Right.
group? I said.
Yes, yes. Like I said, it was extremely intimate, and we could discuss their fears of writing also, which was also, after all, it was a writing retreat. They could, what were their fears of writing? What were their issues? What were the hurdles that they experienced? And I could have a one-on-one with each one of them and talk about publication and how to get published. So it was, I think, because we were a smaller group, we could discuss things at a greater length. Again, with a larger group, it would be difficult to be more personalized and customized. I tried to keep the entire exercise as customized as possible, whoever is comfortable. And we did come out with the stories that they came out with, the writing that they came out with. Each one of them had a different way, a different style, and a different theme to write about, which was interesting. The same maybe prompts that I gave them, but each one of them came up with, because they were carrying their own histories with them. No matter how much you
Okay.
disconnect, but they could hear in this ambience fully and gratefully talk about their experiences.
And then being just women, there was no male around. I mean, I did not do this specifically because I am very, I mean, I'm a, I just wanted women, but I realized that as a woman, women can talk more freely
Mm,
when they are in their same gender. It can work the other way around also, of course. But the sort of group that we had, I think they were very comfortable without any males around,
yes.
because the discussions, as they were discussing their ideas, I was watching them. I was watching the way you were carrying them along, and that they were very comfortable in speaking out, because they were all women, because they knew that the person sitting next to me or across the room has been some sort of trauma. How small, I mean, each one of
Each
us
one.
have been
Yeah.
through trauma. So it was, and those are very feminist traumas, which no man would ever, uh, be, uh, would care about. So I thought that was one reason why I decided it was going to be just women and only a small number, so that they could speak out. There would be no structured academics. It would basically, I feel that, like, it was like a girls' get together. And when girls get together, they do a lot of funny things. We were telling jokes, and we were dancing and laughing, and Uh, so I thought that thing can only be done. हम लोग कितने भी हो जाए, after all we are uh, Pakistani women. We like our cohort to be, similar, or with the same sort of
And
ideas.
sometimes you don't even need to be with friends. See, that this was the beauty of it, that we were with strangers, and by the time we left, we were not strangers. And interestingly, we made a group, and we meet up. They come to my talks. They've been following me. I've been trying to follow their works as well. But sometimes you are at your best with amongst strangers. So I think that also helped. These strangers became friends eventually, but initially, for us to open up to each other, these strangers were like a blank slate for us, each one of them. So we started off as blank slates ourselves also. So in that context, I feel this whole idea and concept is incredible. We have retreats all over the world, but this one is a unique one. because I feel that Nyla Daud being there amongst us, coming in and out, making sure we are fed properly, making sure we are warm enough, making sure that we get our tours. So that is something which is lacking in retreats outside of this, out of, I mean, outside of Pakistan even. These retreats are very unique. This one in particular, Shireen Kunj, is very unique in that regard. And I'm grateful to you for thinking of this idea. This brainstorming must have taken a toll on you, because I'm sure you had other options, but you went ahead with this one to create not just a, I don't call it a getaway. I think this is a home away from home.
That was the idea, Dr. Syrrina. So that, because you see, when I look back at my own journey, it's been a good journey, frankly. I'm not just saying it like that. But I knew that every journey needs to be talked about. I would love to talk about my journey. So these are women, when I got them, I thought they will come and, talk about these, and they did. I could see as you were mentoring them, you were prodding them, the way you were, sort of giving them ideas, even when we went on that winding road, just walking, you were giving them the opportunity to connect with their own selves, which is very important if you want to become a creative writer. You were trying to, I could see that you were training them to unravel, to sort of to untangle the webs of all their social and urban social obligations. You were helping them to, and they were, I must say, that was pretty intelligent of them. They fell into the trap of
Unraveling
of
themselves.
untangling
Yes.
their
Which we
inner
all need to at
selves,
one point or the other. But
unraveling.
hmm. But what is interesting is that I've been approached by many research writers now. They want me to gather, because my work is on academic nonfiction as well, and it's all about dialogism, and I talk about dialogism in terms of nature and man also. So a lot of them have been saying that because they have their PhD dissertations coming up, they have their research work coming up. So they say, why can't we do it in a retreat like you did it for your creative writing students? And so Nyla was saying that this is also a possibility. You should bring researchers here.
Most welcome, Serena. But I'd like to ask you one thing. This was creative, right? This was story writing. How do you think would you know the terrain of the cottage, right? You know the inside out terrain, what is around it. How do you think research writing would benefit, would flower in such a terrain?
You need to, like I said, defamiliarize yourself. What happens is when you're sitting in your office, or you're sitting in front of a desktop, or you're sitting in a cubicle, you are constantly thinking about, sometimes people say, oh, I was in the shower, in the bath, that this idea sprouted. So research is all about new and systematic way of finding newness. There are dead ends. So many times you come across dead ends just because you've been boxed in a cubicle, or this surrounding helps you um, open up to new ideas. So it doesn't necessarily have to be fiction, it can be non-fiction and ideas pertaining to research. And then sitting here with me, knowing how to employ the methodology, and which tools to use, which formatting to go about, and how to focus on the systematic research, we can sit and talk about it in an open environment. That always helps, I think, open minds. And once you have an open
You,
mind,
you,
then you
you
can
mean
research better.
you mean that with in this ambience, even for a research writer, uh, a research writer can get greater mental clarity.
Definitely. I think I've done it myself also. When I write books, sometimes I like to just unwind and be outdoors, and just not sit in my office, just be outdoors. It gives me so many ideas to go about it. And then if I have a mentor there, a tutor there to help me, I think that will, and that must have been the reason, because I didn't think of this. It is my tutees, my students who came up to me and said, "You've had this retreat with creative writers. Why not us?" And I said, "Would you be able to go there?" And said, "We would love to go there, and we would love to sit." And we would, under this the ambience of open air, the trees, the 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 whole effect of just not being in a concrete space is also very important. To be able to connect with nature, they will come up. I have students who write on green literatures. So we have a whole group who are presenting in LUMS in September also on green literature, which is very important, because we talk about garbotology, we talk about the effect of weather changes, climate change, and how writers are taking it, how writers are showing it in their work. So we can sit amongst the nature to talk about it as well. So I think this exercise might be interesting as well.
I'm also rather excited by your idea. I mean, because I think that way in this ambience you can write with greater clarity, with greater honesty, and the deeper truths will also come out. Even in research, you are looking for truths, so the
Yes.
deeper truths would come out, which we don't, maybe as you said, we don't. Which are not very obvious in a box environment. But let me tell you, Syrrina, without you asking the question, it has not been easy. I enjoyed the journey of going into these retreats, but it has been tough.
Mm.
Number one, when I got the idea, I was in a lot of self-doubt. I said, who's going to travel to Aptabad? Who's going to leave there? I mean, when so much is available online, so many 1 day, 2 day workshops are available in the city. But then I thought, let me give it a try. Maybe um, the sort of feeling, creative feeling that I get when I come and sit in this area, maybe people will pick it up, and that I think happened. That happened. They
Yes,
did pick up
definitely. Yes.
the creativity, and you see, initially, Serena, the first thing when I was thinking about these retreats was that should it be a business venture? It could, or but then you see, I weighed the pros and cons. I said, right, the business will come in time, but basically, like I said, I think I was talking about myself. I said there must be some sort of intellectual, mental stimulation uh, in my retreats. I think it has happened because I myself, each time I was sat through one of your sessions, I thought that I had mentally progressed. I was not writing, but I had meant because there was no dialogue as such, but there was a lot of conversation. And that little difference between conversation and dialogue really made me think, yes, it is worth all the effort that I'm making. The conversations which loosened all of us up, which gave us a sense of sisterhood, and informal, eating. You were talking stories in the dinette. You were talking stories around the bonfire. So I thought, but then you see, it was the first thing that I decided that very early on. The business can come later. It's first going to be some intellectual stimulation, intellectual healing, call it, and that is the main idea. Because somehow even I feel that Shireen Kunj, the cottage itself, is wants the cottage wants people to come here and loosen up and talk and to go back with fresher minds. That was the idea. But my first, uh, you see, when I decided let the business be one side, I had to find people who were going to come. I did a lot of self thinking myself. Then I said, let's go on with it. then the first thing, or most difficult thing for me, was to find mentors. Um, I mean, I was not the term. My terms were and perks were not out of the world. They were very, very basic. But I find that a lot of professionals like you, they are not really looking for, the financial. We all, money does make the world go round, but they were looking more for a space where they could share and get ideas, give their idea. So my mentors have been also very good in that sense. They've just, I mean, the Pakistan now has a lot of residencies in the summers in the north. Now, Shireen Kunj retreat does not compare anywhere to those five-star events. It's a very simple home-based thing. But I found that my mentors were a great support to me. Then, when I was marketing, a lot of questions had to be answered. How will we travel? How will we stay? How will we share a room? All these things, and I think I became in time pretty good at clearing the doubts
Oh,
in
yes.
people's minds,
Mm.
and then they started coming in.
And
So I
nobody minded sharing the room even. They became friends, I think.
they
Uh,
did, they did,
yes.
they did,
That's
they
what
did.
happens. Amongst strangers, I feel it happens even quicker. With friends, you might still have some inhibitions, but amongst
Indeed.
strangers, this doesn't really, And the space that you say is very important. It's a very dialogic space. It's a space where I think for a little while I felt the time just stopped for us, and we were just constantly thinking about um, not only our past. It was we were not thinking about what we will do afterwards. We were just thinking about the present moment, that we are going to enjoy, have fun, and create. Just it happened very organically. We didn't have to force anyone to do anything, and I was amazed how these group of women who had never written anything, who had never gotten published before, but by the end of it, and just in a time period of 3 to 4 days, they were coming out with what was already inside them. So I thank you for providing this space to all of us, and hoping.
No, but you see, Selena, I'm saying again and again, um, space is not only spatial, you know, space is also mental.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
is the sort of space I want Shireen Kunj to become. A sort of a mental space where people can unwind and be their own selves, and if of course with mentors like you, that's an added. But tell me, did you ever feel in those 3 4 days that you were taking a class?
Not at all. It was, like I said, fun and games. I knew that I'm a taskmaster. I knew that when I have an
I
agenda,
saw
I have
that.
to,
I
yes.
saw that. You
But
made them work.
Mhm. So because if there is a purpose behind it, they're here for a creative writing workshop or retreat. I wouldn't call it workshop. It was more of just tapping into their creative selves. For that, I do have tricks and tools. So I did share these with them, and but sharing was not in a very classroom sort of fashion. We were discussing, and we were constantly engaging with ourselves, and I was trying to make them open up to themselves rather than to us, but to themselves also. We as women don't know how to open up to ourselves as well. So I feel that that was very important. When you speak of spatial, psychological spatial, because I write, my stories are all about this, how we can be at home even in the wildest of places. And I this is where what I'm trying to say. I would like to begin my new novel in Shireen Kunj, by the way, and I've been speaking to my husband about it as well. That why don't we move there for a few weeks or for a little while, so that I can just, it might help me think clearly. The clarity that comes with uh, nature, and just the surrounding uh, mountain ranges and everything, they speak to you. the sun spoke to me as well over here. So if you have anything else that you'd like to share, uh, but on my part, I'm very thankful that you gave me the opportunity, you thought of me, and then you gave these women and myself space and time to unravel ourselves, to understand us a little bit better. Because what happens is when we write stories, we try to tell our truths, but readers, what they do is they try to understand the stories through their truths. So we got that opportunity to discuss these plural truths over there.
That was the idea that they discussed, because I remember there was one participant who had never traveled up north and who had never traveled without her family.
Mm.
And she said, but when I saw the poster on Insta, I said, I made up, I am going. You see, these were women, one or two of them were like that, who had made such momentous decisions for the first times in their life. Pakistani women usually travel with their families,
Yes,
but
absolutely,
they
absolutely.
traveled alone and traveling into unknown terrain. I mean, Aptabad, TK, it's not a tribal area, but it is KPK, and there are restrictions over here.
I know it's a different terrain altogether for many of us who are coming from the say Karachi or Lahore or other places. That being said, it's if it's different, it's adventurous, and I think we all need that kind of adventure in our lives, um, especially getting out of the daily routines. It's very important.
It's very important. Oh, I don't know, to me, uh, giving women the opportunity to get out of their daily routine, that is a sort of empowerment. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, of course. Because that is one, so that is one part of us. We have so many selves which need to be tapped into. And I feel coming here, not only me, of course, I did feel that I could look into myself a little differently over here, disconnected from the world, connected to a new set of women, connected to a new environment. I could see myself objectively a little bit, and find another self. Others also, I think they found various avenues also opening up for them. At this, some of them, like I said, some of them were retiring, and they were looking. Retirement is not a full stop; it's just a comma, and it leads you to another way of life. And they are now looking at themselves as writers. They have the courage to now delve into writing after this.
And remember, Dr. Syrrina, there was this one participant when she was saying she had tears in her eyes, and she said, I didn't know I had so many stories inside me. And Dr. Syrrina made me look at those stories as unique stories, which need to be told, which the world needs
Needs
to
to.
know. That was, I think, the best compliment. I mean, I was just standing on one side, and when the participant was talking to you, I mean, that was my high moment of the retreat, and then I actually loved that cohort of women, and the way you dealt with them. A lot of them wanted to play hooky, let's relax, but you
Yes.
put them. It was
Yeah.
it was very funny also.
Yes, yes.
But I think for me it was a wonderful experience having you and all those women around, and the way they sort of they I thought that they appreciated my homemade jam.
No, definitely, definitely. Homemade jam
The
and
homemade.
the shakshakas and everything. This was an added bonus for all of us. All of these little things that again, taking that back. I remember when I said, okay, should we start doing this exercise? I said, let's go for a walk instead. And we would go for that walk. And when we would go for that walk, we'll come back with something and then I'll make them do the work. So,
That was it.
yes, yes.
So you did give them time to have for fun and games,
Yeah.
and then you did make them work. Now, as one of them said, I think he said, I might never go on to write a full book, but I have discovered the storyteller inside me, which I think is a greater achievement of this creative writing retreat. And I hope we can continue it again. I
Yes, of
have
course.
tried it. I have tried it with for script writing also, and they wrote lovely scripts. But actually it's the experience. I've been approached so many times during the last 2 years by people saying, "Why do you want us to go too far of Ahmedabad? Can't you do it online? Can't you do it in your own lounge in Lahore?" I said, "Yes, I can, but I will not get that feeling of fulfillment. Neither will you. The idea of traveling out, of adventure, of different sort of meals, of meeting people, you will never get that in Lahore. You will go back after 2 hours, 4 hours, you will go back to your own home. Same servant problem, same kiddie problems, same. But at Shireen Kunj, you have 4 days, you are just yourself. That is the
We
idea.
were not thinking about the menus. We were not thinking about what needs to be cooked. We were not thinking about even the infrastructure. If when the electricity went off, there was an automated generator that came on. We were not thinking about these nitty gritties, which we get to think about it at home. So I think this is also very important, especially for homemakers, that they need to be given some kind of respite, some kind of, uh,
That
you
is
know,
the idea.
yes. So
You
they're
use
the
the
ones who are
word.
on a, hmm,
You said it, respite.
yeah,
The
yeah,
idea of creating this space at Shireen Kunj is respite. Respite. I mean, I'm not saying that all women are troubled women, but
no.
even the best, with the best of more comforted, they need a respite. They need
From
to
the
make a
boredom
decision.
also. You need respite from boredom as well because daily routines become boring. There's this
Boring.
word that I love is it's resfiber, which means it's called the which means that when you're about to embark on a journey, whether it's I use it for my PhD scholars who've just enrolled, whether it's embarking on your educational journey or on a physical journey, you are very excited, but you're also scared. So that feeling of an adventure is what is required. We need that kind of stimulation. That's why we enroll in PhD programs or master's programs or something out of our comfort zone. We apply for jobs. We do things because we want to, and then we go out to various countries or cities or places which we have not seen before. There is this element of nervousness there, but along with it there's this element of excitement. So with this rest fiber is what keeps us going. It keeps the spark ignited constantly. So coming down here also, I was feeling that constantly, that yes, I'm extremely excited, but I wonder what it's going to be like. I wonder what it's going to be like. And to my amazement, it was wonderful. Wonderful indeed.
And I remember I was also very nervous when I sent you the location, that when I was giving directions, how you're going to get off M2 and go on to the Hazara motorway. I said, she's coming here for the first time after a long time, I think.
Yes, yes, and the
I,
roads are
I
different.
kept on calling you all along, I think,
Yes,
because I wanted to make sure that your spirits were okay. I was traveling
yes.
with I think, two other participants, so I was very nervous that midway you would say, "Ki, bhai, where have we come to? What are we going into?" I was very nervous till the moment you all drove into the gate of Shireen Kunj and we greeted each other, and that first evening informal tea introductions when we
Yes.
introduced
And we were just
ourselves.
taking photographs here and there because we were so excited about the whole thing. It was beyond our expectations. It was a surreal experience coming down. I remember because, the gate and then you go, the driveway goes down and then you see the chalet and you see the trees, all sorts of trees. And even the fencing is very organic. You've used recycled many things. All of that, I think, was very important for us to just immediately connect to this world of yours. And not only me, you were calling everyone, whoever was delayed in something or the other, and people. And I never knew that the road to Ahmedabad would be so wonderful. It was in incredible. It was raining, but it was wonderful and safe, and everything was very well planned, structured, organized for us. Um, and I'm grateful and thankful for this experience, and hope that you continue this venture and you continue to call mentors. And I would love to, yes, come
But
again
the
as well.
important thing is what I made sure, Serena, Dr. Serena, you have got, you're a published author, you have a standing and identity. But for me, the important thing is, besides your identity, is that you got excited by the idea.
Yes.
I like mentors, I want to invite people who get excited by the idea of this retreat. I mean, it's a small time retreat, it's a very informal, small time retreat. It's not a residency. It's a experience of sharing.
And
So that was idea in a
sometimes
space
you
where
need
we can.
only 3 days. Sometimes you only need 3 days to revitalize yourself. It's like re-energizing yourself. And I think those 3 days did it for me. This year, these three
As
days
a
did it for me.
as a as a mentor, did you go home? What did you take back? Did you go home with a little bit more? Go back, not home. Go back to your work with a little bit more of energy.
Oh, definitely. Not only that, you always, I think I went back as a changed person myself also. I seeped in a lot of what these women, their stories, and I felt that this connection with nature was very important. I had been, I think, not. I hadn't gone to up north for a very long time, and when I went back, I came to office very different and a different mannerism. I was, I think, more bubbly, more cheerful, and I do remember that even while being at Shireen Kunj, every morning I would get up and I would look forward to your breakfast room, which was yellow and sunny, and it had those sunflowers, and I retained that flavor of yellowness and the flavor of your sunny flowers, sunny breakfast room with me, and I brought it back here.
I'm so honored that you came and you took back these feelings.
And
Because for you also it was a big decision in the sense you were sort of disrupting your life light off. Okay.
yes,
So thank you, sir, Dr. Serena, for coming over and making a success of my dream.
and no,
Or
thank you for inviting me.
next, I hope I can lure you again to Shireen Kunj this year in the near future.
Hopefully, yes, I
And
would love to.
because it has been a pleasure with you as a mentor. And actually, my feeling was that you did uh, create a comfort zone for those strangers, women who had never met each other.
I'm glad that you felt that way, and I'm glad and that you invited me, and you continue to invite me, and I am hopeful that you will uh, acquire better mentors as well, and a group of women who would come in, and this space will always be open for all. And I wish you the best of luck. And with
Thank you,
that,
Dr.
thank you so much.
Singh.
Thank you.
And
It's
hopefully
been
we meet
wonderful
again.
speaking with you and having this conversation. I
Same
think it
here.
was
I
long
was I
overdue.
was looking forward to it.
Yes, I think it was long overdue. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.